Hey everybody, Kristyglass here with a finished object for you. This is a long time coming, this finished object. It is the half and half triangles wrap from Pearl Soho. Jake Canton is the designer behind the half and half triangles wrap from Pearl Soho. And this is a pattern that came to my attention when the Caddy Jacks Knits ladies decided to knit it and make it a knit along. It's taking the world by storm. So many people are doing this. And the reason is because the linen quill is beautiful and gorgeous, and there's so many different combinations of colors that you can do. And the stitch itself is so simple, and the construction makes it something really special. It's garter stitch, it's double stitches, it is pure relaxing knitting. So I went a little off. I didn't get the linen quill, so I did purchase some linen quill. In fact, here's just a screenshot of some of the many different varieties and color combinations that you can get. I will link to that underneath this video so you can check it out. But I did pick up some linen quill for a different project, so I just want to show it to you ahead of time because it really is a lot about this particular fiber, which is a Pearl Soho 50% fine Highland wool, 35% alpaca, 15% linen. So I'm using these linen quills for a sweater. And because the Caddy Jacks ladies have made multiple of these, I thought, well, maybe I'm gonna need more yarn to make a second. So I purchased this lemon lime and fresh pickle to be another half and half wrap. I don't think I'm going to knit another half and half wrap, but I do like this color combo. So I have plans for this one, and this one may go in a D-stash. We will see. The yarn that I ended up using was a little something different. I was at one of the local yarn shops here in Michigan, Woolly & Co., and I found this beautiful Trailhead Yarns fiber, and it's so cool. And I think the color is called Party Time. Let's see, I can find out. It's a Party is the name. And this is 45% linen, 55% cotton. So there were only 2 skeins, and there are 630 yards each. And in the pattern, that wasn't going to be enough to make the entire half and half wrap. I also was a little bit worried it was too thin because it is, I would say, probably a lace weight fiber. Here it is, you know, lace weight, because 630 yards for 100 grams, that's a lot more than fingering weight, which is usually in the 400 yard range. So I had 2 skeins of this, and I thought, well, what should I do? And one of the workers there suggested that I hold it double and pointed me to this Noro. So I ended up getting these 2 colors for my half and half wrap to do a marling look with this. Now this Noro, let me tell you about it. I think these labels maybe in a different language, so I will do the best I can. It says it's 35% cotton, 25% viscose, 20% silk, and 20% polyamide. So it is a true blend, and it's really soft. I would say it does feel like cotton to the touch. And it says to use a US 4, I think, needle. So I was on whatever the pattern called for, maybe like a 5 or a 6 to make mine. But I knew I only had so much of this. So the way I planned it out is I got 2 skeins of this and 2 skeins of this, because each skein had 360 meters. So that's usually a higher number than the yardage. So 2 skeins of this would equal 1 skein of this. That was the theory. So I had to do some modifications to the pattern, which means I had to cast on less stitches, which is totally fine because the pattern does not rely upon the number of stitches. In fact, I think the pattern even gives you a small version and a large version. And I just sort of picked a number. I don't even know how I came to picking the number that I did, but I picked it and I went for it and hoped for the best. So if I had to do it over again, this is all the yardage that I had left. And to be honest, I think I could only get maybe a ½ inch more on each triangle. So I think I did pretty well estimating where to begin this shawl. And it's a little bit on the small side. So I have blocked it, and I will show it to you here. So this is the beautiful pink triangle. And then you can just flip it over and see the turquoise triangle. And it's very thick. It's actually thicker maybe than I expected. I think it would knit up to be thicker than just the linen quill on its own. And it has a little heaviness to it. I'm guessing maybe because of the silk that's in there. So this is it. And it's fun because if you look at the marled fabric, you can see some of those little pops from It's a Party in there. I actually think the pops show up better on the turquoise than on the magenta, but you can be the judge of that. I started off on the pink side, and it's so cool, the construction of this wrap, because you don't have to do any seaming. This is connected. You knit it all in one piece. And another thing that I like about it is when the triangles peek out from each other, the stitches are going in different directions, which I think is very nice detail. Now, the way I describe this knit, it's like when you go to a place you've never been before, and you drive there, you get there, and then on your way home, you go, oh my gosh, that's a lot closer than it felt on the way there because of the unknown factor of that. That's what this project feels like. So it's such a cool construction. You cast on all the stitches, and then you gradually decrease by knitting to a certain point, stopping short, and then turning around and going back. But you stop short one stitch closer each time until you're down to one stitch on this pink. And then when you turn it around, you do the opposite. So you knit to a point and then go one beyond, and then knit back, and then knit one beyond, so that it grows and grows and grows. So it taking a shorter time to get back analogy doesn't seem to make sense when I describe it that way, as your rows are getting longer and longer and longer on the way back. But something about that initial going all the way across before you turn back just seems to take a long time at the starting point of a project. Now, I did block this out and it didn't grow too much. So I have a few misgivings on the size of this. I'm not sure how easy it's going to be to wear it just on its own. If I place it in front and pull rather tightly, I can tuck this under and I think it will stay on like a nice scarflet shawl situation, but it is a little heavy and a little close around my neck. I really do enjoy having something on my neck, but this feels a little bit just bulky on the back, having these two ends. So I decided that I'm going to need a shawl pin for this, and I picked up this shawl pin that I really, really love, but I wanted to add a little something to it. So I'm going to style this now to be ready for a shawl pin. Oh, that's so much better already. Now, because I love this on its own, this Trailhead Yarns, and because I inherited a bunch of doilies from some of my ancestors who crochet and knit, I thought it would be nice if I paid homage to them by making a little mandala out of this yarn. So I picked up my very tiny hook. Actually, they are much tinier than this. This is size, it just has a 2 on it, so it's a pretty tiny crochet hook here. And I looked up micro crocheting and found this book that I'll tell you the title. This is the finished mandala. It's called Rosa. And I didn't do the complete mandala. I don't own this image, so I'm not going to insert it here, but I will tell you the name of this book. It's called 100 Micro Crochet Motifs, Patterns, and Charts for Tiny Crochet Creations by Steffi Glaves. And I believe this is in UK terms, but she does have a chart telling you what the US terms are. So that's just something to keep in mind whenever you're following a pattern, to know, are these UK terms or US terms? So there are flowers, leaves, celestial, food, blanket squares, sea life, occasions, mandalas, bunting, animals, all in here, 100 different ones. And I chose something in the mandala category, but the flowers were really catching my eye, as well as the hearts. So I didn't finish this mandala because it got a little too big. And so you can see this is an actual sort of oversized gold safety pin, shawl pin, and I have attached this mandala to it. So this is the mandala that I've created out of the Trailhead yarns using crochet. And I didn't finish it because it was just getting too large, but I love that it has just the Trailhead yarn on its own. So it's really beautiful, and it kind of informs the eye as to what you're looking for when you're studying this fabric. That was the idea behind doing this. So I'm going to attach this shawl pin now for you. I want to make sure I'm just getting the four layers. Now I feel like I can really relax wearing this shawl because it's not going to fall off. And you can see little glimpses of the the other triangle, which I think is really fun. It kind of creates this collar look here, and then of course you can see the separation down at the bottom, and this accessory of my partial mandala with the trailhead yarns. I just feel like that really makes it. If you see this video in time, the Caddy Jacks ladies are probably going to be knitting this half and half triangles wrap for a long time. They have a hashtag to follow, which I will include underneath this video. And depending on when you're seeing this video, if you finish, I think in October 2021, there are prizes to be had. I believe Pearl Soho has donated some incredible prizes to the effort. If you're seeing this not in time for that, I still encourage you to check this pattern out. It's such a relaxing knit. It's so much fun to choose your color combination from the linen quill. And even though this isn't made of linen quill, I can say it's a really fun pattern. I really recommend it for traveling and also social settings because you don't have to look at your pattern at all. It's just you memorize it and you go. Thank you so much as always for checking in with me here at Kristy Glass Knits, and I will see you next time. Bye.